Episode 48, Boomer Guitar Sessions. My name is Rod. Your first slide guitar lesson. My first slide guitar lesson was in the late 70s, early 80s. Ronald Thompson, the guy who taught me how to Travis pick, also made me a guitar slide. This is not it. But we learned how to play Freebird. That was my first guitar lesson. Yours will be different. All right, so slide guitar. First things I can tell you is the best advice I could give you. First off, if you're getting started in this, tune to an open tuning, which we'll discuss. Listen to the guys that can do it and do it. Copy some of what you hear them doing in grooves and think in terms of grooves. But anyway, so I'm going to give you my top 10 tips on how to get something in your guitar. Before we even get into that, some of the things we want to talk about is the setup on your guitar. If this was an ideal guitar for slide, these would be 11 gauge strings. Okay, you want to have your guitar set up that the strings are a little higher off the neck, but also a little thicker too. So whatever your normal string size is, think about going 2 notches deeper, heavier. So with that said, these are 10s. I'm not going to do 11s because I don't have a dedicated slide guitar. But if you're doing this all the time and you have a slide guitar, maybe you have a guitar that you can just designate as a slide guitar when you're playing in your band. So with that said, 11 gauge strings, have it set up so they're a little bit higher off the neck. All right. Second thing that I'm going to tell you is the kind of slide. Everybody has a different opinion. Their slides are made from all kinds of things. We have glass slides, we have metal slides, we have ceramic slides, we have pill bottles, we have glass bottles. Okay. In all, it's kind of subjective. What I think, I prefer metal to glass because I've been in situations where I'm playing on concrete and the slide falls on the ground and shatters. All right, that's no fun. All right, so I don't want anything that's going to shatter. Second thing is, when you get a slide, you're going to want to get something that is thicker. This is a thick slide. This is not, it's not just a little thing. It's like, I like the thicker slides. Some people can disagree with me. It is all subjective. Don't call me out on this. I know I have a friend who plays all the time that he uses these things. He just buys a pipe from Home Depot and he cuts them off into sections, and it's like the pipe is like paper thin. He can get a good sound out of that. He's a cigar box guitar player, in all fairness. So with that said, I like the thicker sound and thicker style, and also I like the sound of brass. And this was given to me by Mike Males. It was like a Christmas present. So hi, Mike, if you're out there. With that said, first tip is tune to an open chord. All the original guys, when they first started out, not even when they first, that's how they played. When I say the original guys, first off, Delta blues came before Chicago blues. Delta blues is the kind of blues that is acoustic because they had no electricity a lot of the time. That's when it started. It was an earlier form of the blues, and electricity and electric instruments were not as plentiful. Okay, so the Delta blues, when we say Delta blues, we're referring to acoustic blues from the Mississippi Delta. So those guys, their choice of soloing is a slide. So, with that said, they tune to open chords. Robert Johnson, Son House, all those guys tune to open chords. Other guys, not knowing that, have not tuned to open chords. I know Warren Haynes never knew that he didn't have YouTube back in 1972 when he was learning how to play, and he's trying to get those Duane Allman licks off a record. So he tried to learn everything in standard tuning, which he is able to do it somehow. With that said, he is a monster. And I mean that in the best possible way. Warren Haynes, he's a hero of mine. But make it easier on yourself. Check out your open tuning. This is an open G. Open G is D, G, D, G, B, and D. D's on the high, okay. G's, and then you have all right. So that's open G tuning. So all right. With that said, the next thing you want to do when you play the slide, what the slide is like it's a bar that makes what you do sound fretless. Almost sounds like those Warner Brother cartoons. So on it from a technical angle, what you want to do is you want to play the slide, put the slide on the guitar perpendicularly. Not like this, but perpendicularly, so straight. Next thing we want to know, tip number 3, is know the difference between open voicing licks and closed voicing licks. When we say something is open voicing, well, let's start with closed voicing. Closed voicing, the first thing I learned after Freebird was that when you're playing in an open chord like that, your magic fret is going to be your 12th fret. So also when you slide not to the middle of the 12th fret, but the 12th fret bar. When you're on the bar, that's when the guitar is in tune. Then you put that vibrato on it because it sounds legit then. So that is a closed voicing lick because all I'm doing is everything here is all done within the 12th fret, 10th to 12th fret kind of a range. Now, open voicing is making use of open strings in your slide licks, learning some of the slide runs and stuff like that using open strings. So the two different kinds of things we can work with. Okay, so next thing we want to do is like in the blues. In the blues, we want to know where the 1, 4, and 5 chords are. So, because when we go to the 4 chord is on your 5th fret, 5 chord is on your 2nd or 7th fret. You want to know that. When it goes to the 4 chord, when it goes to the 5 chord. Okay, so those are your magic notes, the magic frets for the 1, 4, 5 in a blues. Listen to Muddy Waters. You can't really, in other words, you can't not play the blues. In my opinion, you need to learn some Muddy Waters. You need to learn some of the guys that did it before and get some of that stuff into your playing. Even if there's guys like, I also love George Harrison. George Harrison is absolutely wonderful slide player that is not bluesy at all. He's very melodic. Okay, that is something he's known for. Different style, but I think you're missing out if you don't put some muddy in your playing. Okay, so Elmore James as well. He's another source. So example number 6, or tip number 6, or what am I saying? 5. We're jumping around here. Tip number 5 is use vibrato. Remember, vibrato is what we did when we sang, right? That like that. When singers sing, they use vibrato. When you do that on a slide guitar, it's like this. It just sounds, that's the sound. That's the sound. Tip number 6, choose the right slide. We talked about that. Go to a music store, check out what they have. Okay, they're cheap enough that you can experiment. All right. So with that said, glass gives you a warm sound, smooth sound, while metal is kind of sharper, but bitier. And as I said, I love the brass one. But if you can find them, that it's a great slide. Tip number 7. This is pretty key. Now, I'm going to talk about tip number 7 in 2 ways. Okay, first off is master muting techniques. Okay, so muting can happen in this hand, or the way my hand is. The perpendicularness of your hand, it helps with unwanted noise. The other thing we can do is start using some finger style, or picking fingers. If you're using picking fingers on some things, there's a lot of control that can be had by doing that. Doing finger stuff. How many times have you watched somebody like Warren Haynes using his fingers? It is that simple. You really want to, you kind of like have control over the notes that you're playing. Okay, so you want to mute out the notes that are not there, because otherwise it's chaos. Tip 8, start simple. Listen to some guys. Find some songs that inspire you, like old ZZ Top. Okay, so Billy Gibbons, and he would do stuff. The object is not to necessarily transcribe exactly note for note. It's get the sound and the vibe and the sound in your fingers. All right. So start simply. Listen to guys that use it. Get the sound of what they're doing. Maybe steal some licks, but also put the licks into your own playing in your own way. And that's a great. Start with the blues. A vamp blues is really good too, like Manish blues, Hoochie Coochie Man, Muddy Waters tune. So you know the George Thorogood kind of thing. So. All right. So with that said, also experiment with different tonalities. You don't have to be clean all the time. When you listen to the old ZZ Top, it is a clean amplifier, but turned up way loud, and it's distorting, and it's not quite completely distorted, but you got to know that the amps are really stinking loud. So it's not just a Elmore James kind of sound. So with that said, tip number 9, focus on dynamics. Remember, when you're playing slide, when you're playing anything, the thing that makes people go like that and really get into what you're playing is your control over the louds and the softs within your music. They feel it. Being loud, being soft, and working on being both, and be able to control your volume artistically. Last tip, this is a meta tip, is be patient. Anything that is cool and really neat and worthwhile should not be easy, should not come overnight. If it came overnight, you wouldn't appreciate it. So it's important to have some sort of perspective on this. The fact that you're going to work on it, you're going to listen to players that use it, and it's going to be something you learn and are grateful for and appreciate. It's going to be a color in your guitar toolbox. That's what you have to look forward to. So with that said, my name is Rod, Boomer Guitar Sessions, episode 48. Enjoy the process. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Hi, this is Rod from Boomer Guitar Sessions. I personally wanted to thank you for being part of our community. If you like what we're doing here and you want to see more of it, please hit the like, subscribe, and share. And this helps me spread my musical messages to all over the world. Thank you. I appreciate you. And always remember,